Right here in Pontiac sits one of the first planned auto worker neighborhoods in all of America. Built more than a century ago, the GM Modern Housing District was a groundbreaking experiment, designed by General Motors to stabilize its workforce and give families a better life. And today, these homes still tell Pontiac's story, and I've had the privilege of helping with some of its newest chapters. I'm Chris with Pontiac Pulse. Last week, we explored the Phoenix Center. This week, we're going back to 1919, when Pontiac became home to the very first corporate-built neighborhood for auto workers. And let me tell you, I've sold quite a few homes here myself, from Wolfe Street to Oliver to Perry, each one adding to the living legacy of this place. In the 1910s, Pontiac was booming with auto jobs, but the city faced a major challenge: housing. Workers lived in cramped boarding houses, rented tiny rooms, or commuted long distances. General Motors saw a problem and an opportunity. In 1919, under the leadership of Pierre du Pont, GM created the Modern Housing Corporation. The plan? To build a massive 750-home development on over 660 acres of land right here in Pontiac. The goal wasn't charity, it was strategy. GM knew that if families had safe, modern homes close to the plants, workers would be healthier, happier, and more reliable. This was about stabilizing the workforce, and in the process, reshaping an entire city. The street layout was designed by William Pitkin, a Boston landscape planner, and the homes were designed by the New York firm Davis, McGrath, and Kiessling. What they created was something entirely new: America's first planned neighborhood built by a corporation for its workers. Between 1919 and 1926, about 261 homes were completed in what's now recognized as the GM Modern Housing District. Those 261 homes across 61 acres form the historic district that you see today. Every one of them came with modern features that most working-class families had never experienced, like indoor plumbing, running water, electricity, slate roofs, oak floors, and plaster walls. For many, moving here meant stepping into the American dream for the very first time. And these homes weren't cookie-cutter boxes. GM offered 8 distinct core styles, and the National Register notes as many as 16 architectural patterns across the district. Among them, we've got Dutch colonial with gambrel or barn-style roofs, dormer windows, and wood shingle siding. We've got the New England colonial with steep roof lines, symmetry in the doors and windows, and clapboard or stucco siding. We've got the Civic Park salt box, long sloping front roof, large porches, and shingle accents, or the Civic Park suburban, symmetrical and practical, often stucco with arts and crafts details. Exterior finishes here included wood clapboard, stucco, brick, and shingle combinations, giving every block personality. Together, they created a neighborhood that was both functional and beautiful. And these houses still matter. Just last month, I sold this one, 119 Wolfe Street, for over asking price at $170,000, setting a new record in the neighborhood. 100 years later, they're still valuable, still desirable, and still lived in. And literally this morning, I listed this house on Oliver Street at $140,000. And get this, it still has its original slate roof, one of the exact details GM marketed back in 1919 as a sign of quality and durability. A century later, that roof is still doing its job. I've sold quite a few in this district. 2 colonials on Perry Street went to a pair of brothers named Perry. Talk about fate. I've sold a handful on Omar, and even one on Gage that used to be, well, let's just say a grow house. Shh. Each one has a story, and every one adds a new chapter to Pontiac's history. The GM Modern Housing District was about more than houses. It was about community, tree-lined boulevards, porches close enough for neighbors to chat, and nearby schools created stability. Kids grew up here, families thrived here, and generations stayed connected to Pontiac through these very blocks. And the impact stretched far beyond Pontiac. This project inspired similar housing efforts in Flint, Detroit, and other industrial towns. It proved that when corporations invested in workers' lives outside of the factory, productivity inside the factory also improved. When you walk these streets today, you don't just see old houses, you see history and the lives of thousands of Pontiac families who built their futures here. In 1989, the GM Modern Housing District was officially added to the National Register of Historic Places, recognizing its national significance and helping protect its architecture. Today, the homes continue to be bought, restored, and lived in. Every fresh coat of paint, every porch repair, every new family moving in keeps the district alive. This neighborhood isn't frozen in time. It's living history and part of Pontiac's comeback story. These homes remind us that history isn't just about buildings, it's about people. And the GM Modern Housing District is proof that even a century later, Pontiac's story is still being written here. This was the story of Pontiac's GM Modern Housing District, America's first corporate-built neighborhood for auto workers. Do you or your family have ties here? Drop your stories in the comments down below. We'd love to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss our next episode here at Pontiac Pulse.